वहां से आए बुढ़ानपुर, फिर पहुंचाया पैगाम, भई लड़ाई शरीयत सो बीच दिन इस्लाम। लाल पैगाम ले के गया उत शरीयत, करी कादिशो मुलाकात लिख के भेजी तित, करी कादिशो मुलाकात लिख के भेजी तित। वहां से आए बुढ़ानपुर, बोले श्री प्राणनाथ प्यारे की जय, सतगुरु महाराज की जय। Dear Sundarsaji, like always, thank you all so much for joining our session today. As I've already told you, we're nearing the goal line. We're probably about 2 weeks away before we wrap it all up. And talking about Mahamati Prannathji and Satguru and their lives, their histories, their biographies is a glorious feat for everyone. There are so many valuable lessons in every step of their ways, in awakening Sundarsads in different cities and towns. Mahamati Prannathji has been extensively traveling to awaken Sakundal and Sakumar Sakhiya Paramdham, and along the way, he has awakened hundreds of thousands of Sundarsads. He's walking on foot, traveling by ship, is traveling across 5 different countries, trying to awaken souls. He is revealing the Vedas, he is revealing the Quran, he is awakening the Hindus, he is awakening the Muslims, he is awakening the believers of different sects, he is awakening the laymen, and he is awakening the scholars. He is awakening those who are already into different sects. He is awakening the leaders. He is awakening the kings. He is awakening all different kinds of souls. Because Ya Purana ye kagad do paravan, ya ke magazamaine hama pasa andar aaye ke khole Sri Prananath. So Mahamati Prannathji has the understanding of both the Vedas and the Puran, because these work as the reference to the arrival of the Lord Supreme and the arrival of Imam Mahdi and Ruh Allah. The secrets of both Abrahamic and Vedic scriptures and those traditions are with Mahamati Prannathji. Andar aaye ki khole Sri Prananath Rajji is unraveling the mysteries of those scriptures residing within the heart of Prannathji. On yesterday's discourse, we talked about Mahamati Prannathji's journey to Aurangabad. We heard about the struggle of Mukunda Dasi in reaching out to the king, his perseverance despite the odds of being successful in doing so. As we all know what happened, how he was treated by one of the saints working for Bhav Singhara, the king of Aurangabad. He was beaten, yet he was absolutely not giving up on his pursuit. Guru Akya Kariyashi, since Mahamati Prannathji had asked him to do what he did, he was not going to turn his back on Mahamati Prannathji. So he persevered, he relentlessly pursued his goal of meeting Aurangzeb, the king of Aurangabad, Bhav Singh, and eventually becomes successful. And the king of Aurangabad finally was awakened. Now, Mahamati Prannathji was welcomed in Aurangabad. We talked about that yesterday. As he was welcomed, Mahamati Prannathji asked Bhav Singh to stand up against the Emperor Aurangzeb. Because Mahamati Prannathji had realized by now that Aurangzeb would not be awakened, but rather he could be defeated and made realize the fact that Imam Mehdi has indeed arrived. He wants Aurangzeb to realize the hard way, because the easier way he tried, by the revelations of Quran, by the dissipation of the knowledge of Hakikat and Marfa that Mahamati Prannathji had from Quran, but he was still engaged in Sariyat, in rituals. He did not want to hear the teachings of Hakikat and Marfat because he was bound by his false glory, his false power of the world, because he had so many armies, he had so many soldiers, he had so many horses, so many elephants, he had so many associates working under him, listening to his orders. So he said to Mahamati Prannathji, according to the Beetak written by Devchandraji Maharaj in Vrittanta Muktavali, we stated that he would lose his glory. And like we've already said, he might have been killed had he embraced the teachings of Mahamati Prannathji so openly. So Mahamati Prannathji asked Vabhsinghara to stand up and fight against Aurangzeb. Vabhsingh said, if that is the case, what we could do is we could reach out to his associates first, and for that matter, we would have to be unraveling the teachings of the Quran. Mahamati Prannathji had Husseini Tafsir, and Vabhsinghara had 4 Muslim associates. So Vabhsinghara asked Mahamati Prannathji if these 4 associates could be awakened by unraveling the secrets of Husseini Tafsir and the Quran, then we could probably be able to stand up against Aurangzeb. Mahamati Prannathji unravels the teachings from Quran, Husseini Tafsir. He unravels the teachings of hadiths, the experiences, the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, and awakens them. As these 4 associates realize, along with Vabhsinghara, that Mahamati Prannathji indeed had the true understanding of the Quran, then he realized, King Vabhsingh realizes that Mahamati Prannathji is indeed talking about religious harmony that nobody had talked about previously. Hindu Mushalman re Firangi kai jate, Odi Bodhi Jaina apara, Bade so Brodha Badhariya kari agani udekara. There are Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, and Jains, and all of them were promoting their faith, their teachings. Yet, instead of bringing people together, all these religions were dividing people. The Hindus were not the true Hindus. Hingsa dure iti Hindu. The Hindus are the one who are away from violence, who are non-violent. Yet, Hindus were engaged in violent acts. They're killing animals, they're consuming the food, killing animals, they were killing each other, there were sectarian fights. In Islam, there were relentless fights between the Sunnis and the Shias. Christians, they were fighting with each other in terms of their differences. They are divided into sects. So there were very few true Hindus, very few true Muslims, very few true Christians following actually what was there in the Bible. Christianity talks about love. God is love, love is God. Love your neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. Such concepts. The Buddhist, Lord Buddha always preached non-violence. And back then, Mahamati Prannathji realized that most of the Buddhists were engaged in non-vegetarian diets and all that, and they were fighting with people of other religions. They did not have any compassion. Mahamati Prannathji realized that if we could bring together the true Hindus, true Muslims, true Christians, true Jains, true Jews, if we bring them together, then there would never be any war, there would never be any dissension, there would not ever be any war between these sects, these faiths. Because a true individual, a rightful man, a virtuous man would never fight against the other virtuous man. So Mahamati Prannathji is trying to bring together the sectarian knowledge that was scattered in these different scriptures in different faiths. So he's promoting the idea of religious harmony, interfaith studies. Such was the case with Mahatma Gandhi, the father of India. His mother was the Pranami. Like we already said in Mahamati Prannathji's Discourse, Lal Dasi reads from the Quran and Bhavani Bhatta reads from the Bhagavad. Such was the description by Mahatma Gandhi when he was asked about his religious faith and what he believed in. He told the journalist that his family was the Pranami, and his mother would take him to the Pranami temple regularly. And in that temple, the priest would read from the Hindu Gita and the Muslim Quran as if it mattered not which book was being read, so long as God was being worshipped. Mahamati Prannathji is guiding humanity towards something that the humanity had never witnessed. Well, Mahamati Prannathji is not the only one who talks about religious harmony, yet the fact of the matter is, none says that Allah and the Parabrahma are the same. Even the Christians and the Muslims would say that there is one God. There is no denial of that fact. But what they would say is the supreme God of the Hindus and the supreme God of the Muslims and the Christians are the same. They would never say that. They would not accept the tenets of other faiths. They would not accept the ritualistic practices of other faiths. They would not realize that there are philosophically, basically, these religions are guiding humanity towards that same goal. Mahamati Prannathji unraveled all the identical teachings of these faiths, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and all those. Vedanta, Gita, Bhagavad, Daya, Isarata, Savakul, Magaza Maine, Zahire Kya, Mahe, Kucha Hu, Hati Jo Bol, Manjira, Jambura, Taureta, Chauthi Jo Furakana, Magaz Maine, Gujate, So Zahire Kya Bayan. Mahamati Prannathji extracted the deepest teachings of these faiths, of these scriptures, Vedanta, Gita, Bhagavad, Quran, Bible, Torah, all these scriptures. And Mahamati Prannathji brought together the idea that what the Vedas were saying, the Quran was saying the same. Jo kachu kaya Veda ne soi kaya kateb. Jo kachu kaya kateb ne soi kaya Ved. Do bande ek sahib ke par ladta bina paye Ved. Because they do not see the distinctions. Because they see the distinctions in between people of different faiths. But the truth is, though one day both the Hindus and Muslims were praying the same supreme reality. And whatever the Vedas were saying, Quran was saying the same thing. Mahamati Prannathji is unraveling these secrets to both the Hindus and the Muslims and trying to awaken people of different faiths, because he is bringing the awakened consciousness. He has come to the world to bring together people of different faiths, not to divide people. Because until now, until the arrival of Mahamati Prannathji, until the arrival of Ruha Allah, Satguru Shree Devchandraji Maharaj, what happened was due to the differences in these teachings, due to the ritualistic differences, due to the differences in some of the contents of these faiths, the mythological stories that the people of other faiths would consider myths, not reality. They were fighting with each other. They were doing everything in their power to extend the numbers of their followers, not realizing that they were all trading on the same path, the path towards eternality. So what Mahamati Prannathji is doing is, for the Muslims, he is unraveling the secrets of Quran. For the Hindus, he is unraveling the secrets of the Vedas and Upanishads. For the followers of Kabir, he is quoting from the book of Kabir. For the Vaishnavas, he is quoting from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Mahapuran. He is unraveling the secrets of the reviews of Bhagavatam by Vallabhacharya and others. So he has all the awakened knowledge. He has all the understanding of the scriptures as such. He's being able to awaken Hindus, Muslims, and the people of different sects. As Mahamati Prannathji meets these Muslim scholars, he unravels the secret of the Day of Judgment, the Day of Qiyamah. I already talked about it. Until you have the awakened consciousness, you begin to take things literally. There is a concept of dead arising from their graves on the Day of Judgment. On the Day of Qiyamah, the dead will rise from their graves. They take it so literally, the Christians and the Muslims, that they cremate the dead, because they realize, they feel that at the end, when everything is all over, then God would literally rise those dead from the graves. And on the basis of their karma, on their faith, they would be taken to heaven, or they would be sent to hell forever. What Mahamati Prannathji unravels here is, it does not really matter whether you cremate or burn the dead, because Mahamati Prannathji unravels it as such. The body that we have, made up of 5 elements, is itself a grave where your soul is residing. By awakening your soul, by realizing your eternality, by realizing the glory of your soul, you are already rising from your dead body. That was what the essence of it, that was what the true teachings of this concept of dead rising from the graves was. When you are cremating the body for thousands of years, nothing remains there in the graveyard. So it does not really matter whether you burn the body or cremate the body inside that crematorium. Mahamati Prannathji unravels these secrets. Mahamati Prannathji unravels the arrival of Azus and Mazus, the day and night, that lick the human body as we grow old, and eventually time, the day and night, kills humans. So Mahamati Prannathji unravels the secrets of these and awakens people of these traditions as well, Islam. According to Hinduism, there were about 88,000 saints and sages. And according to the Abrahamic religious tradition, there were about 115,000 messengers of God. But none of them were truly successful in bringing people together. Hindus were speaking for the Hindus, Vaishnavas were speaking for the Vaishnavas. Those believing in Sakta traditions, in the tradition of goddesses, they were promoting that same ideals. The Muslims were speaking for Muslims, Christians were speaking for Christians. None of those sages and messengers were speaking for the whole of humanity. पैगंबर या तीर्थंकर कई हुए अवतार किना बोधन में कि विश्व का किया नहीं निर्विकार. The messengers and the saints and the incarnations that came to this world, none of them good and the hostilities between the faiths. Mahamati Prannathji unravels different secrets of the Vedas and the Quran. Prophet Muhammad had said, Farda Roz Qiyamah, that tomorrow is the day of judgment. Tomorrow is the day of Qiyamah. Rabb ke ek din duni ke saal hazar, he explained it as such that those Muslims walking, those Muslims following the true teachings of Quran would be awakened, would be enlightened when God Himself descends and judges people's actions and karma, and they would be taken to heaven. Dear Sundar Sadji, the glory of Mahamati Prannathji, the glory of interfaith harmony that Mahamati Prannathji preached is more meaningful today than probably it ever was. During the reign of Aurangzeb, Hindus were not treated fairly. The temples were burnt. The Hindus were not treated as if they were the human beings. They were treated as the second-rate citizens. And Mahamati Prannathji's message to Aurangzeb was, if you are a Muslim, be a true Muslim. A true Muslim would never hurt another human being, another life. That was the teaching of Prophet Muhammad. And you consider yourself the follower of Prophet Muhammad, but what you are doing is absolute tyranny. Mahamati Prannathji now realizes that it's the time to fight with him, because he is not ready to renounce the ritualistic teachings of the Quran. He is not ready to leave Sharia. So it happens that when Mahamati Prannathji leaves Aurangabad with the glory of Mahamati Prannathji, with the power of the Lord Supreme that is there within him, it so happened that one day, while Aurangzeb wakes up in the morning and goes to his singhasan, to his seat, he sees a lion sitting under his chair. And he asked his associates, I see the lion on my sheet. Can you take it away? All his associates think that, what is Emperor saying? We do not see anything there. He was scared. Aurangzeb was so scared that day, that moment, seeing the lion in there. And when everyone reminds him that there is no lion and he's probably hallucinating with the courage that he gathered within, he wants to go and see it on his divine, on his powerful seat. But it so happened that the seat that he was about to go and sit was tilted. Mahamati Prannathji, what he did, Takhata baithe saha kahavate dekho kyun daro ulata. It was Mahamati Prannathji who twisted, we tilted the singhasan of Aurangzeb. From that moment on, Aurangzeb realized that he made a mistake by not receiving the teachings of the Imam, or Mahamati Prannathji, Imam Mahdi. Now, from that moment on, he was desperate to meet Mahamati Prannathji. He was getting older as well. He was getting weaker as well. Mahamati Prannathji realized that, no, I don't want to meet him any longer. What I really want is to fight him off, uniting the Hindu kings, uniting the Hindu kingdoms that were there in India. And he's still looking for that one king, a strong one, a resolute one who could fight off the tyranny of Aurangzeb. Mahamati Prannathji was preparing Vav Singh Harda for that, but unfortunately he passed away. So Mahamati Prannathji realized that it was about time to leave Aurangabad as well, because he is still looking for the Sakundal Sakhiya Paramdham. Mahamati Prannathji is reminding both the Hindus and the Muslims. Within the commune of Sundar Satsi, in the group of Mahamati Prannathji, there are some of them, there are some of the awakened souls who are against the teachings of the Quran. And even today, some of the Pranami scholars and saints and leaders have issues with Quran and the revelation of Quran in Tata. That is understandable in some extent, but the matters that today's Muslims, some of them, of course, not all of them, are engaged in ritualistic things, are engaged in some terrible things, terrorism and the mistreatment of women and all the other things for that matter. Go no further than the Taliban of Afghanistan, how they treat women, how they treat the people of other faiths. What happened when first Taliban came into power in 2001 in Afghanistan? They destroyed the Hindu temples, they destroyed the Buddhist stupas and all that. So for that matter, in what's happening around the world, it is understandable, but the fact of the matter is, Mahamati Prannathji is doing this to remind Muslims to be more embracive, more appreciative of other faiths, receptive of the teachings of other scriptures other than Quran itself. When it is done, then the religious hostilities can be minimized. As such, Mahamati Prannathji reminds both the Hindu and Muslim disciples of his Kalama Allah ya Hadith Sastra Quran ya Ved ye sab sukha leve mu'min karashna ki ved. Be it the Quran or the Hadiths, be it the scriptures of Hinduism, Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad and all that, the moments the true souls would receive all these scriptures as the divine words of the Lord Supreme Himself. Because in all these scriptures, a moment a true soul would find the teachings necessary to awaken his or her soul. The concept of interfaith discussion, the concept of interfaith studies, the concept of interfaith harmony and universal peace was first taken up by Mahamati Prannathji in such an extent. While everyone may say that God is one, Mahamati Prannathji says that God is one and that God is called Allah by the Muslims, that God is called Parabrahma by the Hindus, that God is called Aksharat Sri Krishna by the Pranamis, that God is called Supreme Father by the Christians. And it is that one God. Mama Bhartmano Bhartante Manushya Partha Sarvasaya, Sri Krishna says. Although path divergent, everyone is walking towards me, says Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, Mahamati Prannathji reminds people that it is unwarranted. It is absolutely not needed to fight on the basis of one's religious affiliation and religious practices. Mahamati Prannathji preached such, and it so happened that the king of Aurangabad passed away, and Mahamati Prannathji could not find another king who would take up a lead in fighting off the Emperor Aurangzeb. Mahamati Prannathji finally comes to Budhanpur, and from Budhanpur, Mahamati Prannathji comes to Akot. There he stays for 4 months, and everywhere he goes, as we already know, he awakens both the Hindus and the Muslims. He realizes that it's about time to unify the Hindu kings and the kingdoms. He's looking for a king able to fight off the terror of Aurangzeb. Mahamati Prannathji is looking for that king. Mahamati Prannathji is getting a little older as well. And he was riding a horse now. In Akot, Mahamati Prannathji awakened one of the Brahmins. He was so impressed by Mahamati Prannathji's teachings that he was absolutely submitting himself to the lotus feet of Prannathji. One day, Mahamati Prannathji was taking bath in the river in Akot, and that Brahmin came, just chanting the name of Prannathji. Tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu. Dhani, 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 dhani. He was just reciting these words. And he just lost his path. He just lost his concentration. He just walked into the river. And he forgot to take off his clothes. He just saw Prannathji taking bath, and he just walked into the river. Because once you find God in your life, once you realize the glory of your soul within you, then the world becomes meaningless. Worldly relationships become meaningless. You become detached from the world. And such was the case with that Brahmin. He didn't care about anything. He just walked into the river, and all the Sundar Shahji had to rescue him. तहाँ से आए देवगढ़, तहाँ रहे दिन सारा, राम टेकरी का राजा था, तहाँ किया ना किना विसारा. There was a king in the place called Ram Tekari. Mahamati Prannathji thought that he could be of some help to fight against Aurangzeb, and Mahamati Prannathji sends the message to him. But he was not awakened. Mahamati Prannathji is moving forward in pursuit of Shakundal Sakhi. Mahamati Prannathji does not have any say in receiving the food that his followers had begged from the residents of all these towns and places. Taha magat tukada chalahi jholi bharke lyave Sri Raj ko arogai ke sarthak ko baant deve. Because for those realized souls, food is just about survival. Food is just about filling the stomach. It does not have to be delicious. In Aurangabad, he was treated so well. And here in Akot and Budhanpur, as he's moving forward, his followers are begging food, some stale food and all that. He's consuming that food with such a glory. He's savoring the dishes. Whatever he's receiving, he's fine with it. Dear Sundar Shahji, in the work of awakening, when we go to different towns and cities, when we go to remote places and villages, Sometimes we receive the grandest welcome, and sometimes we have to endure some hardships. The glory of Mahamati Prannathji's teachings is not spreading across the world because we are sitting in one place. We are sitting in towns and cities waiting for people to come to us. We have the awakened consciousness of Dharma. We are not spreading it. We are waiting for people to come and listen to us. We are doing the discourse in temples. But until we reside in their hearts, until we find a way to connect to them, until we go to the villages, until we listen to their grievances and be a part of their experiences, until we listen to them, people cannot be changed. One of the professors I ran into in my university education, he was a follower of one of the sects of Buddhism called Nichiren Buddhism. Daisaku Ikeda, the leader of that tradition, is a Japanese man. When he took over the leadership of that sect, they only had about 12,000 followers. When Daisaku Ikeda came into power or leadership of that sect, the number grew to about 20 million people worldwide. The temples, the stupas of that Buddhist traditions are spread across 200 countries. He takes the lead in international affairs. When two nations fight, he mediates them. Dear Sundarsaji, that professor of mine told me that it is not that we stay in one place and awaken people. We go to their places. We listen to their grievances. We offer them something that nobody offers them: consolation, guidance, motivation. When we do that, that is the way we awaken people. The sad part is, today's Pranami saints and preachers are staying at one place expecting numbers of Sundarsats to grow. That is not the way it works. We probably have the clearest understanding of the cosmos. We probably know more than anybody else. And the grandest description of Beetak, we know that. We have the understanding of this perishable world, and we have the understanding of the beyond, imperishable world, imperishable realm, and the supreme heaven, Paramdham. Yet, we fail to reach out to other people because we are waiting for them to come to us. Mahamati Prannathji is traveling hundreds of thousands of miles on foot. Some places he is receiving the grandest welcome. Some place he is chased by the enemies of truth. He had to run away for his life in some places. Some places he is seated on the elephant with horse riders escorting him. Some places he has nobody with him. And Mahamati Prannathji still continues. Mahamati Prannathji still perseveres in awakening Sakundal and Sakumarbai. Dear Sundarsaji, there are a lot of lessons to be learned. For ordinary Sundarsats and those with a promise of awakening others. But we truly do not embrace the life accounts of Mahamati Prannathji, the life of Prannathji, the struggles of Prannathji, the hard work, the perseverance, the never giving attitude of Mahamati Prannathji. As such, we are where we are. 400 years of our history, the history of Dharma, 400 years of Mahamati Prannathji's arrival into this world. we are still nowhere to be found, Sundarsaji. It is a sad reality. In a global arena, nobody understands, nobody knows who Prannathji is, while the whole world is awaiting for the arrival of such an understanding that Prannathji brought to humanity. It's about time. It's about time that we take a lead. It's about time that we get unified. It's about time we get united into one sole mission. That mission is nothing but the propagation of Mahamati Prannathji's teachings to the world. And if we fail to do so, if we fail to make an earnest effort, then we are no better than anybody else. How good it is that we are awakened with this transcendent understanding of Dharma if we fail to awaken a single soul in our lives. Life is all meaningless, life is all wasted. So all of you listening to this discourse, all of you watching our discourse in Facebook, it's about time. Do everything in your power to awaken the next person standing beside you. Do everything in your power. And it is not always through the understanding and the propagation of Mahamati Prannathji's teachings. No, it is through your actions. It is through your treatment of that individual. It is through your respect for that person. It is through your listening to their grievances. It is through simplest thing, just smile on your face. If you smile at them, if you show that you are awakened, if you show them that you are a nice human being, that is all it takes. Because we all made the promise to Raji Maharaj in Paramdham, the same promise that I had to fulfill. If you are forgetful of Paramdham, if you are forgetful of Paramdham's Leelas, if you are forgetful of Raji Maharaj, if you are forgetful of yourself, I will promptly, right away, instantaneously awaken you, remind you. And if I do the same, please, 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 please awaken me. That's the promise we made to each other, Sundarsaji. And it's about time we keep that promise. Because when Mahamati Prannathji gets to Junagadh and beyond, when Mahamati Prannathji gets to Jairam Kansara, that's the question he asked. How many souls have you awakened? How many Sundarsats have you awakened so far? The same Prananath, the same Lord Supreme would be asking the same question to us. How many souls have you awakened so far? You yourself are not awakened. How can you awaken others? Is that the promise? Is it the way you fulfill your promise? Is it the way you keep your promise? Would not Prannathji be critical of us? That is the question. There is so much to be learned from the life accounts of Mahamati Prannathji and Satguru Shree Devchandraji. Here, after leaving Aurangabad, where he was receiving the grandest welcome, he is receiving the food that his followers begged from the residents of Akot in Budhanpur. Yet he is receiving the food with grace. He's smiling. He does not stop smiling. He's savoring the taste of stale food in those chapatis, the breads. Whatever they are received, they are offering it to Prannathji and he savors it. Oh, it's so delicious. Dear Sundarsaji, when you are ready in life as well, when it does not matter to you what circumstance you go through in your life, good or bad, happiness or sadness, when you can take those circumstances easily, equanimity, as it is said. When you are equanimous to any situation in your life, dear Chattrasal, nothing is needed. When you are happy, regardless of the circumstances, then how can you be upset? So for that matter, Mahamati Prannathji's teachings and this Beetak reminds us to be detached from the situations in the world. So long as you give your best in relationships, in your studies, in anything that you do, then don't worry about the circumstances, because doing karma is on us. The consequences are not. As such, Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyavadhikarasti ma phaleshu kadachana. Doing karma is your duty. The result are not in your hand. It is me who provide you the consequence. Sometimes you may not like it, but that's what I do. So we do our part. We try to awaken people. We try to propagate the teachings of harmony and peace to the world. And whatever happens next, leave it to Raji. He will handle everything. But do not just say that it is just Raji's Leela. No, it is not. If it was all Raji's Leelas, then why would you have to awaken yourself and others? Raji is doing everything. Until you walk, until you try to walk, until you step on the floor, until you make an attempt, your parents cannot make you walk. It is with your attempt that your parents will hold your hand and make you or help you walk. Similarly, when we do our karma, when we do our part, that is when Raji comes and guides us. That is when Raji comes and shows us the right path. If we fail to do anything, if we do not do any karma, then we are just helpless. We are just worthless. So here Mahamati Prannathji is doing everything in his power to awaken and awakening Sakundal, Sakumar and all the souls, propagating the teachings of both the Vedas and the Quran, unraveling the secrets within them. And while he's moving towards Ramnagar, while he's in Ramnagar, in a samay Dajjal jor laga karne ajuj majuj utare sati lagi khaisane. A lot of Sundarsats suffered from some disease. They had fever and all that. And many of the Sundarsats passed away. Chabil Das, Chintamani Bhai, Nirmal Das, Damodar Bhai, and many other Sundarsats passed away. And it is a natural process that once we come to the world, we have to leave this world. Everything that is created has to be perished, has to perish. Mahamati Prannathji realized that when scores of Sundarsatji passed away, numbers of Sundarsatji passed away, with his divine power, he treated them all, those who were suffering from that ailment, from that disease. First he realized that it was just natural, but as more and more Sundarsatji passed away, with his divine power, he saved other Sundarsats. So Mahamati Prannathji does not perform any miracles, but at times, to save his souls, to save his disciples, he takes some extraordinary measures. And this time here in Ramnagar, he saves hundreds of Sundarsatji suffering from the ailment. While Mahamati Prannathji is in Ramnagar, Aurangzeb is in Aurangabad, and he asked one of his associates, Purdal Khan, to arrest Mahamati Prananath, such that he could see him, such that he could meet him, such that he could have a discussion with him about the teachings of the Quran. And Purdal Khan sends his associate named Sheikh Khidr, and Sheikh Khidr sends Vikhari Das to arrest Mahamati Prananath. But instead of arresting Mahamati Prananath, Vikhari Das becomes the disciple of Mahamati Prananath. Sheikh Khidr, who sends Vikhari Das to arrest Mahamati Prananath, goes to Mahamati Prananath and becomes the disciple of Mahamati Prananath himself. That is the power. That's the charm. That is the charm of Mahamati Prananath. Whoever goes to Mahamati Prananath realizes the eternal divinity, the glory, the effulgence of Mahamati Prananath, realizes the divinity of Mahamati Prananath and falls into the lotus feet, submits to the lotus feet of Prananath. On tomorrow's discourse, we will talk about Mahamati Prananath's awakening efforts in Ramnagar. Will continue with that. Mahamati Prananath meets one of the ministers of Chattrasal Maharaj, and tomorrow we'll set a stage for a meeting between Mahamati Prananath and Maharaja Chattrasal, meeting between Imravati and Sakundal Sakhi, meeting between the Lord Supreme and one of the leading souls of Paramdham. So stay tuned. And like I said, I'm so grateful to you guys, every one of you, each one of you. While I'm explaining the life accounts of Mahamati Prananath and trying to relay the message of Lal Basi to you, it is to be understood as such that we all have the responsibility of spreading these teachings. We all should assume the responsibility of spreading the teachings of Mahamati Prananath to the world, because the world needs it. The world needs the message of harmony and interfaith dialogue, such that the peace could prevail in the world. And that is the mission that Mahamati Prananath had. That is the mission that our lives should be guided by. Thank you all so much. Pranam.